Eskom says its power system is currently under severe pressure. The power utility has urged customers to use electricity sparingly to avoid a network overload. For more on this, we're joined by Eskom spokesperson Sikhonathi Mantshantsha. Very good evening to you, and thank you very much for speaking to us. So we've just put up the warning that you've sent out. So just unpack that for us. What are we looking at? What are you saying? What is the power capacity at the moment?
The first thing, Tsepiso, to alert the people of South Africa, it's not that load shedding is imminent. That is a note to ask the people of South Africa to switch off unnecessary lights. That means the lights were in the rooms that are not occupied. And please switch off all unnecessary heaters and your electric blankets. Please switch them off until you actually need them when you go to bed. We are doing all of this in order to make sure that we continue without having to implement load shedding. These are tips we keep sharing during the winter in order to help us indeed all avoid the possibility of load shedding.
And Mr. Mantshantsha, I think you would know this, that in past winters, where we've sometimes seen that sign, where we get a warning that we must reduce energy consumption, it has happened that not long after that, that there would be load shedding. In this instance, are you saying we are far from it, or are you saying that if this level of consumption continues over the next couple of hours or the next few days, when would load shedding then be imminent?
Absolutely, Tsepiso. What we are saying is let us all reduce our usage of electricity, do everything we can to avoid the inconvenience of load shedding. If we all reduce demand, for example, you cook earlier than you normally do, so that by this time when it really gets cold, only your heater is on and not your heater and your stove and your geyser and your electric blanket all at the same time. That's when we then have real problems. At this point, we are quite comfortable that we will not implement load shedding. We have enough capacity to avoid implementing load shedding, but we have to ask the people of South Africa, and they have been responding very well indeed, to work with us in reducing demand, particularly during the coldest hours, so that we only keep to the essential items. I must also say part of the things of the efforts we have done, as you saw in May in Gauteng, we said in the high density residential areas where there's a lot of illegal connections, we will switch off there during the peak hours in some of the places on a rotational basis, because again the overloading and illegal connections cause our transformers to explode, go up in explosions and mini substations, which inconveniences the customers in those areas even further. So these are the efforts we are making to avoid.
Have you only been switching off those areas, or have other areas been switched off? I know that there are areas in Soweto that have not had power. These are people who are paying for electricity and have been without power for, say, the last 3 days. We know that there are areas in Gauteng and Ekurhuleni who have been without power for a whole day. And it's very unclear to people whether or not this is load shedding or not.
So we've been very clear that we will, during the peak hours, between 5 in the morning and 9 in the morning, and between 5 in the evening and 9 p.m., we will switch off supply to those areas where we have problems of illegal connections, because that's the most that's where the most damage occurs to infrastructure. So whenever there is no electricity between after those periods, people must phone the Eskom call center and report a problem, and the problem can get solved. However, we have also been saying to the people, particularly in Gauteng, because of illegal connections, when our colleagues go out to fix problems and they find these illegal connections, we get the problem that we get attacked, our people get chased away. This evening, episode, we've had the tragic incident of 2 security guards being murdered in Cape Town, who accompanied a team that went to actually attend to a technical fault in Philippi. So we keep having to work around those limitations and those concerns.
I need to go back to the question that I was asking earlier so that our viewers understand this. We're looking at that little needle that was warning that consumption is very high, and there was a black part at the end there, as you can see it. And I'd imagine that that black part is blackout, and that's when you will cut off electricity. At what capacity are we working at the moment? So that you say, if we consume so much over this period, then we will reach that black mark.
Tsepiso, I must tell you, I may have missed some of the things you are saying because of my poor connection here. But I'll tell the people right now, we do not foresee having to implement load shedding. We've got about 4,000 megawatts before we could actually go to that black mark. So that is not on offer right now. What we do by sending out this tweet and this warning is actually to get people to help us also to avoid going to that level. We are sending this as a sign to actually encourage people to work with us to avoid load shedding.
What level are we at the moment as we speak? You say we're 4,000 megawatts away from blackout. What level are we at the moment? And, you know, the capacity that we use in a day
I'm saying
during this period?
we've got about 4,000 megawatts.
Okay, it seems like, unfortunately, we have bad connection to Sikhonathi Mantshantsha. We've lost that connection. Okay, I believe we do have him back. So I understand you're saying we're 4,000 megawatts away from load shedding. I'm asking, at what capacity of consumption are we at the moment? So if we have 10,000 megawatts that we use within 24 hours, would you confirm then that we are at 6,000?
We've got right now about 4,000 megawatts reserve. We are just under 30,000 megawatts consumption, and we believe that is enough to see us through without having to implement load shedding. There's no issue at all of load shedding at this point.
All right, thank you so much. I think you've made that clear. Eskom spokesperson Sikhonathi Mantshantsha, thank you very much. And that warning, so please switch off non-essential appliances so that you can reserve energy, so that we are not faced with load shedding, especially given these very cold conditions. And of course, let's not forget, there are people who also don't have power at this stage. Eskom saying that it is working at it, but unfortunately, when they do try and restore power to some areas, they are attacked. But do report to us if you are in an area without power and there's no load shedding, but your electricity should be on at this point.